Hey, welcome to the Hangar Z Podcast, brought to you by Vertical Helicasts. We're excited to bring an exciting and insightful two-part series on the Hangar Z Podcast as we explore the Michigan State Police Aviation Unit with Lieutenant Patrick Lawrence and Sergeant Nick Olivo. Lieutenant Patrick Lawrence, a distinguished aviation professional with a rich background in both military and civilian aviation, Lieutenant Lawrence holds a Bachelor of Science in Professional Aeronautics from Embry-Riddle University and has completed prestigious leadership programs with the Michigan State Police. His military career boasts accolades such as the Master Army Aviator Badge, Meritorious Service Medal, and Army Commendation Medal, among others. With extensive training and flight certifications, including the Airline Transportation Helicopter Pilot Certificate and the Certified Flight Instructor Certificate, Patrick's expertise and commitment to aviation excellence shine through in every aspect of his career. Sergeant Nick Olivo, a seasoned law enforcement professional whose career spans multiple departments and roles. Since joining the Michigan State Police in 2013, Sergeant Olivo has made significant contributions as a trooper, tactical flight officer, and a pilot. His journey from having zero flight experience to becoming a skilled rotary wing pilot and a unit safety officer is nothing short of remarkable. Prior to his time with the Michigan State Police, Sergeant Olivo served with the Saginaw Police Department as a major case detective and field training officer, and started his career at the Flint Police Department. His dedication to the role of tactical flight officer and his passion for developing top-notch candidates are central to his approach in airborne law enforcement. Join us for these compelling episodes as we explore the Michigan State Police Unit with Lieutenant Patrick Lawrence and Sergeant Nick Olivo. Their stories highlight the dedication, challenges, and triumphs of public safety aviation. Thank you to our sponsors, Spectrum Aeromed, Robinson Helicopters, and Astronautics Corporation of America.
Welcome to the Hangar Z Podcast, brought to you by Vertical Helicasts. The Hangar Z Podcast is the first and only podcast dedicated to promoting and exploring the personnel and equipment behind the missions in public safety aviation. Join your host, John Gray, Jeff Ratkovich, and Jack Shanley.
Still southbound, skidding to a stop. Stand by here. Looks like they're getting ready to bail. Heads up, guys, bailing. Okay, the guy, he's running through the house, jumping the fence, threw the shotgun, threw something out. Grabbing the shotgun. Don't go over that fence. Don't go over that fence. Grab the shotgun again. He is armed. Stay there. Hold your position.
4 on the stop. You're in custody.
Good advising code 4 on the stop.
Something you talked about that I think is interesting is the varied areas that you work, from the rural farmlands to, urban Detroit, and the difference between the two is vast. So I imagine, as a patrolman, your experience in each one of those environments is way different, and the skills you're learning in each one of those environments is drastically different as well. Can you talk about, again, from an outsider standpoint, I don't know a whole lot about Detroit and Saginaw and Flint and kind of what's happening in those cities, but the media portrays those as pretty crime ridden, just like Los Angeles and San Francisco. Can you talk about the efforts to fight crime in those areas today? Is the media accurate in the portrayal of those cities?
Of course, I'm not going to come and say anything bad about the media, but it is. So there's obviously the whole, if it bleeds, it leads, right? So I think that some of what the media has portrayed is blown out of proportion, or maybe a little more salacious than it actually is. To say that these cities aren't facing challenges would be, that's, nobody's going to believe that, because it is the truth. Those cities are indeed facing challenges, and there are things that the state police are doing to try to help that. LT's been around a little longer than I have. We started what we call the Secured Cities Partnership, which is where we have taken squads of uniformed troopers and put them into the cities. We've taken detective troopers and embedded them. We are now working collaboratively with the agencies, local municipalities, and embedding detectives into their police departments with them, our state police detectives, and providing aviation resources. And I think it's honestly, I've kind of have a unique experience because I've been able to see both sides of it. Whenever I was a municipal detective, I was working in one of those collaborative units with, on the local side, not the state side. And there's, again, like Terry said, you check your ego at the door. It's not Big Brother coming in to help, it's not Big Brother coming in to clean it up or anything. We're all there for the same goal. We're all there to help. And I think one thing that has really benefit that we've seen is we've torn down some of the walls as far as like being able to integrate resources. So most of the municipalities in Michigan, we're not like California or wherever the case may be, where there's got to be just, every municipality has the funding or the stream of funding to support an airship. They just don't, or crime labs or some of those specialized positions. That now that we've been able to put these people in place, it's getting the resources where they need to be. There's not those hurdles of who do we have to call, how do we have to request it. These detectives can stick their head out of the office and scream to the office next door, hey, can you give me a helicopter today? Yeah, absolutely. Can you get me a crime lab? Yeah. That collaborative energy of working together, I think, has really benefited. And I think crime clearance rates have shown that.
Yeah, that's always a good thing.
Yeah. I feel like in California, we've kind of been handcuffed by liberal policy and by legislation that's new. And then also, the political and social landscape that exists. Are you seeing a lot of that in Michigan as well?
I don't know that I would even say it as that. It's just, we operate under the set of the rules as far as what law goes. So, as the laws change, we adapt, and as the rules change, we adapt, and public perception changes, we adapt. And I think our agency has been very proactive with that, being able to adapt to it, but not only adapt to it, but get out in front of it.
Putting the troopers into some of these urban areas, who initiated that? Was it these towns? Was it Detroit, Flint, and Sac, and places saying we need help, or was it initiated by state police saying, "Hey, we want to help. Do you want it? If this is available." Do you remember how did that evolve? Was it a help call from them, or more initiated by the state police side?
You got to look at the FBI and their crime stats. 3 of the top 10 most dangerous cities in America were in Michigan that year. And we had a new governor, and he went to our director of the state police and said, what can we do about this? Because I don't think a big part of the plan was SCP patrols, what we do with the uniform officers and troopers in those cities, but also the stuff with the detective bureaus. And we made aviation a play as part of that as well. We'll offer up our aviation services, and the governor likes to be able to put the troopers where he needs to. And if he doesn't need troopers in rural areas where the crime is low, but he needs them in those urban areas to help out those cities, he made a play for it. We made our pitch to make aviation a part of that. The leadership at the time, thank God for them, and they had faith in us and made us a part of it. And I think we've had a piece of that as well, the successes as well from that.
We're recording this mid-February, and it just came out in the past couple of days that Oakland, California is going to receive over 100 CHP officers, 100 highway patrol officers, to supplement some crime fighting there. And matter of fact, Jack Dunphy just wrote an article that I read today about Oakland, and I think the problems that are there, In-N-Out Burger just left Oakland. I think that's what broke the camel's back. They said, In-N-Out Burger's leaving Oakland. Oh my God, we better do something. Because that's unheard of. They've never moved one of their places. And it's not because of lack of sales. It's because of the danger to their employees and their customers. So, it's funny that we're talking about this, and other places are trying it as well. Maybe they even knew about the Michigan program and the success, because it makes sense. I mean, if you can supplement and get more cops out there visible, and doing the detective work as well, that'll be a big plus. The problem in Oakland is that they have a prosecutor that won't do anything. So it may be a moot point. They might go out there and hook and book and arrest, all these bad guys, and nothing happens to them. We'll see. But the concept is very similar.
Well, I think, just the way we operate, we're never more effective when we're working together. And I think that's what the ultimate effect of that is. It's additional aviation, it's additional detectives, it's additional patrol, it's working with the agency and just putting all that together to create successes, a chance for it.
Kudos to you, Pat, for recognizing aviation had a stake in that, and for flying the flag of your program and implementing that as part of the overall solution or part of the solution to the problems that you guys are facing in Michigan. is being a supervisor in one of these aviation programs, in my mind, really does require you to fly the flag for your unit and to be an advocate for your program. It's really easy because we're removed from a lot of the decision makers that's taking place, the city level or the state level, wherever you may work. We're forgotten a lot of times because of where we are. But it takes effort for a leader to put themselves in a position to be present, to fly the flag. And you've done that. That's great.
Just good timing, and I was fortunate with senior leadership that had faith in us, and it wasn't easy. There was a lot of effort put in by a lot of great guys. Nick is part of this as well, and a lot of other great guys in this unit. Some have retired already, and it was a lot of hard work. It was shifting mentality from working days, call out only, to we're going to be on patrol on afternoons over urban areas on the weekends and throughout the week. And it was a definite shift, a heavy load that was lifted, but it was lifted by many people.
Physically, are you guys near, the administrative offices for your agency, or is it a remote location you guys are working from?
No, we're about 5 miles from the headquarters building here at the hangar in Lansing, and then we have 3 additional work sites right now that are all even more remote. So
okay, so for you to go in and be a part of these meetings and these decisions that are taking place, you've got to go to the downtown or 5 miles from where you are.
If they let you. That's I'd love to be invited to some of these meetings. There's enough out of Pat. Just keep him out there at the hangar. We know what he's going to say.
Well, that's that's what a good leader should do. You should always be present, always be in the ear of the decision makers and the stakeholders, and talking about how your benefit or how your program benefits the overall agency. We talk about being a force multiplier and the advantage of that, especially for you guys in these rural areas when numbers are low. An aviation crew really changes the momentum, in my mind, to favor us, and provide more safety for the folks on the ground, whether it's citizens or uniform officers. That's huge.
Absolutely.
But going back to one more thing before we kind of dig into your agency, or at least your aviation program, I'd like to talk about the funny stuff that we see. And I know we've all seen it. Work a patrol. I always say you get the front seat to the greatest show on earth, and Nick, you've worked some different areas just based on the agencies that you've been a part of. You talk about something that you recall is particularly funny when you work patrol.
Oh man. Yeah, you're really digging a deep well. It's it's funny. To just come off the top of your head, it's hard. But then, and I'm sure Jack, you could attest to it too. Whenever you start sitting down with some of the guys and have a couple drinks and start talking, they'll bring up stuff that happened that you completely forgot about.
Oh yeah,
and yeah. And then whenever they say it, you're like, oh man, I can't believe I forgot about that. Yeah. So just and like you said, just the randomness that you're able to be a part of, that you see it's just all, I don't know that I could categorize something as just here off jump. That should have been your hot seat question. I can't pull anything right off the top of my head that strikes me as the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think sometimes it's something that, it was a prank that you pulled on one of your squad mates, or it was something you saw a suspect do, and I think of actions that suspects take. A lot of times it's the funniest stuff we see is an air support, a bad guy jumping in a backyard with a pit bull in the backyard, and the pit bull going to town. We get to see stuff like that that's unique. In patrol, obviously, you can't see that. You see the guy go over the fence, and you might hear him start screaming, but you're not sure why. So, but I love all the funniness that comes out of it. Jack, I got to hear, you've got a million stories. I know you do.
Oh my gosh. So many I'm with you, Nick. So many times you'll be sitting there and you'll be with a group and they'll be saying, yeah, remember this. And you're going, nah, I don't remember that. And they go, no, you were there. And nah, I wasn't at that. And they keep going. And by the end of it, you go, oh my gosh, I was there. I mean, they all blend together. It blends together. But I can tell you that one of the funniest things I ever saw on patrol was a pursuit of a guy in a full clown outfit. He was doing a birthday party in Hollywood, and his girlfriend was with him, and they had a fight, and she left. So now he's got to get back home. So, he's done with his gig as a clown at the birthday party, and he's got to get back home, and she's gone with the car. So what does he do? Steal a car. So the clown steals a car. It goes out. The broadcast goes out. Somebody picks it up, and the pursuit is on. And he's in full, it's on video. I still have a video of it. It made it to Life on the Beat. And the funniest part about it, watching him go by with a full clown outfit, the nose and the hat and everything was pretty good. I was in K-9 at the time. And I got to the termination point, and he got out, and he had the shoes on, the long shoes. And I remember I was laughing so hard looking at that, going, how did he press the brake? How did he even accelerate? He's got these clown shoes on. That was certainly among the funniest things that I ever saw.
How far did he make it?
It was like a half an hour pursuit. It was a long pursuit, because I remember sitting at intersections watching him go by multiple times and just laughing, and they're just going, this is great. Guys on the air were laughing as they were broadcasting. It was just one of those things that will never, ever leave my mind. Yeah, I love it. But there were many, many more, that's for sure.
In Hollywood, gosh, you drive down there and you see the weirdest people dressed in the weirdest costumes on the sidewalk. I can't imagine working that day to day.
Halloween in Hollywood was really fun. We could do a whole show on Halloween in Hollywood, John. Oh my gosh. It's insanity. It's stupid on a daily basis. It's ridiculous. Now you add Halloween to it. Yeah, it's crazy.
Pat, any funny stories that come to mind for you?
I wish I could even compete with LA, but
no clown stories.
No clown stories. No clown stories, but there's one particular time. So often you got to remember we're talking to people outside, right? And so funny stories that we find amongst ourselves, we're not willing to share with people outside, kind of thing. And so that's so there's so many stories that probably won't say that one, but there was a particular pursuit. You talk about letting your TFO out to handle the crime, right? To make contact with the suspect. And we had 3 suspects that were wanted. They're out in the woods. It was a fresh case, so there was an active pursuit, but it was in one of those weird areas that there's just no good roads to get back to where these 3 clowns ended up. There's no place for them to go. It's fall in Michigan. The leaves are off the trees. There's no hope of them getting away from the helicopter. We get on the PA system, stop, and they look up. They don't even run because there's no place to go. They can just walk at whatever pace. And again, we're going to be assisted by the deputies on this. And the suspects are refusing to let us in. I've got my TFO and I got an opening in the woods. I'm like, partner, I don't know how long it's going to take to get somebody back to us where you're going to put you down at. But right there is where you're going to go. And right there's your 3 bad guys right off the nose at 100 yards. I got this, no problem. I can do this. And we land, and we're about 10 feet off the ground, and 2 deputies came out of nowhere, running right underneath the aircraft, right in the right direction. And oh, God. He looked at me. Talk about a happy camper. He was going to have to go confront the 3 guys on his own, but and he would have done it. He would have gladly done it, but we were fortunately relieved. So
that's funny.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that stuff like that you just can't beat. The stories, the things we see. It's so fun to talk about it, and like you said, get together with the guys you work patrol with or wherever you work these incidents, and recall some of this stuff, and some of the detail that comes out of those conversations is great. Anyways, I'd like to kind of hop into talking about your aviation program now. We've talked about your agency as a whole and some of the background pieces for your guys' career. But for aviation program, can you talk about the program broadly? How many personnel are there? How many bases do you have? What does your airframe look like and that type of stuff?
Thank you to our sponsor, Robinson Helicopter Company, the choice for unrivaled safety and reliability so you can accomplish any mission with confidence. For more than half a century, Robinson has been at the forefront of the helicopter industry. From the R-22 to the R-66 turbine, Robinson makes helicopters accessible so more people can accomplish more missions. Climb higher. For additional information, visit www.robinsonheli.com.
All right. Originally established in 1939, the aviation unit lost our aircraft during the war. Went to the War Department for training needs of the Army Air Corps, and then picked up aircraft again after the war was over. So been around for a long time. I have not been here since day one, though. I know that quite think so. But
so you had no time in that aircraft, Pat?
No. Actually, though, it still exists. I got a call from a guy in California he called me up. He said, "You guys ever own this N number?" I said, "I got a great picture of it with a 1934 Ford sitting next to it."
Wow.
And he's rebuilding it, so you might hear this.
Gosh.
Pipe yet. Yep.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, you got to figure out a way to get that back. That's cool.
Yeah, it's still out there, so Stinson Reliant. So
wow, let us know if there's something that you need for, even if John and I could go there and get pictures or something for you. I mean, that is really cool that aircraft still exists.
it was such a random phone call, and I don't even think I ever got the guy's name. I said, "Yeah, I got a picture of it here," and boom, it was poof. He talked to me a little bit about it. He was working on it, and totally lost touch with him. So,
wow. Oh, wow.
But
maybe that'll come back. If it does, you let us know. We'll find a way to go get photos of that or something for you. That's a big part of history right there. The fact that that's still around.
Yeah, absolutely. So our current fleet consists of 6 helicopters. We have 3 Bell 407s, a Long Ranger, 2 Hueys, and then 3 fixed-wing aircraft, 1 King Air 90, and then a Cessna 206 and a Cessna 182. Most of the guys are dual qualified or getting dual qualified and able to man whatever aircraft we need.
With the different airframes and styles, what missions are you supporting with those different aircraft?
That's one cool thing about working here. What did you say, Nick?
It's yeah. We support all of them.
Yep. And people ask what shifts we work. We do, or what hours we work. We tell them all the hours. So the Cessnas are surveillance platforms, primarily. Pretty good surveillance package on the 206 with the live video downlink, moving map equipment. The King Air is a slick. It's a transport airplane only, no mission equipment on it. So we've taken that everywhere from Missoula to Bangor, Maine, and then down to Houston, Texas. I think as far south as we've taken that, prisoners or our own leadership or detectives. So just anybody along those lines. And then the 407s are our primary patrol helicopter. They're all flare equipped with live video downlink and mapping equipment. And then the Long Ranger is kind of turned into a little more of a backup patrol bird. It's got the older 8500 camera on it, the Aero computer mapping system. So it's not like overlays. It's one or the other. So that aircraft gets probably the least amount of use. And then the Hueys have really become special mission equipment aircraft. 2016, we picked up 2 of the last H-model Hueys from the Army. And those are hoist, Bambi bucket, rappel, fast rope type aircraft.
You talked about your pilots being dual qualified. I'm assuming you're talking about fixed wing and rotorcraft. Just the rotorcraft side, are a lot of the pilots able to fly the Huey and the rescue missions and the fire missions that go with that along with patrol? Or is that more of a specialized?
Nope, everybody's trained across the board.
Wow. Yeah, from a variety standpoint, that's really cool. Getting the opportunity to do all of that is very unique. The training that goes with that, I'd imagine, consumes a lot of time. What does your training schedule look like for that?
You get to train every day.
Yeah.
Every day you're out on a mission. So our guys are flying easily 600 to 800 hours a year. And so they're getting a lot of flight experience. The beauty, and we do have monthly training requirements in addition to annual training requirements. But the beauty of the complexity of the mission, if you can train for the most complex mission, every mission that's less complex, you're probably proficient at. And so the skills that we build when we started doing Bambi bucket, thought that was we really stepped it up a game here to do external loads and Bambi bucket. And then we added hoist to it. Now nobody squawks about the Bambi bucket at all. This seems pretty easy compared to that night hoist mission we just did. So, but as their skills improve, it improves every other aspect of what the guys are doing.
And having that, developing that skill set and these different mission profiles requires, again, a leader going to command and saying, hey, these are the things that we can do. There's a lot of behind the scenes work that's done for someone in your position. Can you talk about, what it's taken for you to take the program from what it was to kind of what it is now?
I started in the unit in 2001 as a line pilot and worked under a good boss, but the unit was kind of stuck in doing the same business the same way they had for the last 20 or 30 years. And it was a call out basis, look for occasional missing person, patrol flights once a year over Detroit for Devil's Night. And that was kind of it. And then VIP transports with the airplanes. And with that lack of mission set, maybe some lack of vision, and then a 10-year economic downturn in Michigan, we went from a 5-pilot unit with 6 or 7 aircraft down to 2 pilots with 2 aircraft.
Wow.
When I took over in 2009. And so we're going to have to change some things, or we can see what direction this is going right now, and it's not good. So we definitely took a fresh look at things. We were down to a Bell 430 and a Long Ranger and 2 pilots, and got fortunate that the economy started to turn around, so that started to create some opportunities there. And then 2, some leadership bought into us being able to do more and provide a better service. And so we just had to create a vision for what that would be, and then start getting other people to believe in it.
What did you find as being effective in showing your unit's ability to effectively perform the missions and to draw the additional resources and funding for your program?
Right. So while we were quite honestly on our butts at that time, so look around the state, so was everybody else. Saginaw and Flint had layoffs. Detroit Police Department had lost their aviation unit and had their own financial problems. And so we had made a pitch that, look, we can go down and assist the city of Detroit. Initially, it started out where we were as a joint partner with the city of Detroit. We can provide the aircraft, a pilot, and assist them with patrols if they could provide the fuel cost in the hangar. That was the initial step into what eventually leads into aircraft on patrol. And the pitch was, look, we can go down and fly for the city of Detroit, but we can also, because we're not a city of Detroit asset, we're a state asset, we can support surrounding communities as well when incidents occur. And an aircraft, as you guys know, an aircraft on patrol is responding not to the crime that's occurring before he's on patrol, but while he's on patrol, while he's flying, because of the run up and start up in route times. That pitch, they bought into that. They believed in that. We showed some successes, got them some videos of, and then, boy, that was the first thing I tried to do was, one, collect stats, collect as much data as we could to show evidence of our work, but then also try to obtain as much video evidence of that, because you believe more what you see. And that was old school. I was cutting 10-second little clips and emailing it up to leadership so they could see the apprehension being made. They could see the pursuit coming to a safe conclusion. They could see these different things to try to say, okay, well, maybe there is a method to this madness. Or
I love that. Yeah, you think about APSCOT every year and the FLIR awards that they put on every year. I go in there, and by the time you're done watching all the FLIR awards, you're so pumped up because you've seen all these really cool apprehensions. It's genius that you kind of took that concept and applied it to the marketing of your unit internally. I honestly hadn't really considered doing that. My unit, we would do a weekly activity report and a monthly activity report and send that up the chain of command. But I think like what you've talked about, having video to kind of lead that is genius. Is that something you guys do still today?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Nick's the FLIR award winner right there. There's a funny story you should have told.
I forgot about that one.
We'll have to hear when you're done with this thought.
Yeah. So I think that's and Pat kind of highlights on it. One of the things that's been really important, and I think we've shown really a lot of success with, is you look at Michigan, and it's not a place like California or Florida or Texas, where having air support and law enforcement has almost been institutionalized. Like it's kind of an afterthought. Like, yeah, it's gonna be there unless the weather's low. It's gonna be there for us, and especially as I came up as a young cop, never happened. And I distinctly remember the first time that I had a helicopter over me. It was probably you, as a matter of fact. I don't think I ever told you a story, but I distinctly remember the first time I had a helicopter over me working an incident, and like just not knowing what they could do, not knowing what they could see, not even knowing how to talk to them. And I think one place, and Pat talks about the videos, and which we still do a ton of, and I'll get there. But one thing I think that Pat didn't touch on, where I think we've had huge success, is outreach. So we will we'll have TFO pilot, somebody go to every one of our recruit schools. And they have been for, I don't know how long. I know you started it before I came to the department, but one of us will go to one of our recruit schools and show them, this is what we can see. This is what we can do. This is what we can't see. This is how we can work with you and actually integrate what happens up in the aircraft to make it matter for you, for what's happening down on the ground. And I think that's the most important thing we do. And honestly, one of the most important things we do, at least, to make people understand how those two pieces can most effectively work together. And we'll go, honestly, we're kind of like traveling roadshow as far as that goes. We'll go to police department briefings, roll calls, chiefs meetings, wherever somebody wants to hear the good news, we'll be. And honestly, that's what it is because for many, many years as a police officer, like I knew the state police had helicopters, but if I ever needed one, I didn't know what they would come out for or even how to get a hold of them. And so I think that's been a huge thing for us to do, is to make the asset known, but also to make it accessible, if that makes sense.
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
So, and as far as the videos go, yeah, it's I never thought that my role as a police officer would include being a video editor, but we do lots of that. Lots of video editing and overlay and making sure that it's in a consumable amount. And so when you're in the aircraft TFO, the actual job is always job one. But after you TFO and you get proficient at it, you start thinking, how is this going to, let me set this so it looks good. But, and and one of our other TFOs, who's also now a pilot, once you get me talking about TFOs, I'll go. He coined the phrase. He's like, you got to think of it cinematically. In even just doing the job, think of it cinematically. Think of what we're seeing and why, because you could zoom in on something and you can see it, but contextually it doesn't really make sense. So, and I think that transfers well for evidentiary stuff as well.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of points to touch on that. Before we get into the video, I just want to go backwards for 1 second. You talked about the traveling roadshow when it comes to training. And I feel like that's a good way to describe it. And that's how we felt. We would get all the training done for the new recruits, the patrol shifts, and then our specialized units. And by the time we'd finished that iteration of training and everybody kind of understood how aviation played into the overall game, we had to start all over again. And we noticed when we didn't start all over again, there was these gaps of knowledge that you're describing. So it sometimes became frustrating because we're having to go back and retrain. But it was because of all the new, people going from one assignment to the next, new patrol officers coming into different positions. And so to what you're saying, I think it's really important that we consider ongoing training and making that a part of our annual deal, because people are always moving. There's always new folks. There's always people retiring. And as time consuming as it is, I think we become more efficient when people understand how to utilize the resources and what we're capable of doing.
I think some units forget that they need to go out and continually make contact with their customers, telling them, hey, don't forget, this is what we can do for you. They're worried about maybe showing it to the media or showing it to their citizens or showing it to their chief. And they forget that, well, the people that you're supporting, they need to be really knowledgeable in what that aviation unit can do and not do, because they're the ones that are going to call you or not call you, and you want you want to be there for them. I think it's great that you're making a really good effort at doing that and continually doing that. Because it starts, I like that what you said, Nick, that it's one of the most important things you guys did was go to those recruits. I agree with that 100%. That's get them started in the right direction right off the bat before they've ever even put handcuffs on somebody. They know about you and they know what you can do. But then, that fades, and you got to keep doing it. You got to keep doing it. And like you guys are, that's great. And video is a great way to do it.
Well, and that's one of the things is, when somebody's in recruit training, it's like drinking from a fire hose, right? It's just the amount of information you get is overwhelming. If they walk away from our recruit school and they remember that we have an aviation unit and that we exist and we can help, and I showed them, some cool videos that have at least kind of maybe sticks with them a little bit, I'm happy with that because we'll reattack and we'll see them again and we'll have a chance to refine that. Yeah. But at the very least, they're there. And to the point that you made, John, training's it's like painting the Golden Gate Bridge, right? As soon as you're done, you got to start again. Yeah. And it's, but I think an important part of that is, so now these people who at this point, we've trained as recruits have now moved up into middle management positions, and people that we've helped on the ground and people we've had good finds for and people we've been able to successfully conclude pursuits with as troopers have now moved into these either mid-level or upper management positions, and they see the value of the unit. They see the value of what we can do and what a more fuller integration of ground and air looks like. So I think that's really important. Yeah. Yeah.
One of the things that I think highlights kind of what we're talking about, I remember we got a call to assist one of our narcotics units in a surveillance. So we launched, and they wanted us to fly out to one of the coastal cities to help them, which is 30-minute or so flight from where we are. So we launch, go up to surveillance altitude, which is about 5,000 feet. And we start flying towards the beach, and we get, 10 miles away, and you can see the marine layers come in as covering the area that they want us to do surveillance for. It's overcast at 800 at the beach. And I remember getting pissed. I'm like, why would they call us to go to help them with surveillance when it's overcast? There's no way we're going to be able to see through that. And then I realized, it's my fault. My fault for not telling them, hey, you should consider some of these things before calling us. So again, it just lends to what you're saying, how we can help these folks in their patrol days is different than how we help them when they, move beyond patrol and start working in some of these specialized units. So I think providing that time and energy into training these folks will end up saving us time and headaches down the road and make us more efficient too.
Yeah.
But when it going back to the video stuff, again, I love what you guys are doing as far as the internal promotion of what your unit's capable of. But then also you consider taking that a step further in these agencies. They're taking that consumable information, those videos, and promoting their program to the general public, the tax-paying citizens. I think it's valuable to do that. I don't know are you guys in a position where you can release some of that through social media?
You protect and defend. So do we. Astronautics' proven cybersecurity, connectivity, and upgrade solutions support helicopter OEMs and operators worldwide. When the mission matters, you need to trust that your avionics systems are secure, connected, and reliable because lives depend on it. Continue to protect and defend. So will we. Contact Astronautics at www.astronautics.com.
I would love to have a state police aviation unit, Instagram, Facebook. They won't let Pat Lawrence do that. They're smarter than that. They know I'd be all over it. But what they have given me, which is even better, is we have 7 districts within our department. Each one has a PIO. Each one of them have a Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So X. So I just utilize the system that they've created, and we package it up. Nick and Cole have done an excellent job in training the young TFOs to cut, clip, produce their own minute to minute and a half video of whatever that significant incident is. They send it to me. I push one email up to leadership so they can see it. I push another one out to the PIOs. And depending on the PIO, if they post that, as soon as it's on the internet, hang on, guys, we're going to spread that around. So I'll be filling up your inbox soon with videos. So
that's great.
So we work within the systems they've created. We don't have our own. Unfortunately, they won't let us do that. The PIOs in the districts have been pretty good to us. So we use that relationship to help spread the good word.
Yeah.
Good.
I like that you're using the existing framework to find a way to do that. I think as we go, I think more agencies will become more comfortable with utilizing social media as a way to promote their programs and to show where the tax money is going. LAPD is a good example of that with the recent audit. They recently launched some social media channels to promote the work that they're doing there, and I think that's been really effective for them. I don't know, Jack, have you heard any feedback on that side?
Yeah, I hear they're getting a lot of hits and a lot of comments and positive things going, wow, that was really an amazing job. And when I read the incidents, if I read it off to the four of us, you'd go, that's what we do. That's nothing special. I mean, it really isn't. But to somebody who doesn't know about aviation, they're going, wow, that's incredible that they did that. When in fact that happens every day to aviation units around the country. And so that's a good thing. That's a good thing that it's getting out there, and the people that don't understand what these units do, other than the fact that they cost a lot of money, they're getting to see that those three burglars that had been hitting dozens and dozens of houses in the Hollywood Hills are now in custody. And the only reason they're in custody is because an air unit found them on the side of a hill away from their car with a FLIR at 0300. That kind of stuff is great. And it's great to hear that you guys are doing that and pushing it out to your PIOs and that they're doing that for you. The positive side, Pat, is that's one less thing you have to do. Even though you might like to do it, that would be time consuming. But it's great that it's getting out there, because those are the people that are paying the bill. They should see what the bang for the buck that they're getting.
And the beauty of it is they're getting to see what the law enforcement's doing. It's not necessarily what aviation's doing.
Yeah.
A lot of times what we're showing, we have a great perspective and a great angle, catching guys in the ground doing fantastic work. Then we just can package it up in a way that's very consumable. So it's good for us, but it's good for us as law enforcement. It really is.
Yes.
So, and Nick and the guys everybody's able to produce it. So that just makes it easier and quicker, because today it's news today, but it's not news. What happened today is not news tomorrow.
Right.
So it's important that we get it out quick and put it out to the public as soon as possible.
So director, producer, editor is on your resume now, Nick. Is that right?
Yes. Oh yeah, definitely.
Nice. Yeah.
But it's funny because we joked about it, in a lot of ways we feel like we became a news crew with the camera system, and we're, we used to split a lot of time between the camera and the window, I think when I first started, you were primarily out of the window, looking with your eyes, your binoculars, and then, utilizing the light. Now it's become where I think probably on the camera more than anything. And that's for a lot of reasons. Evidentiary stuff you brought up, Nick, is a big part of that. So it's interesting to see some of the tactics and how we do the job changes and how that's affected the overall mission sets that we do. But it does seem that most agencies now are going to cameras primarily. Are you guys seeing that for your calls?
Oh, absolutely. It's, I joke with some of the other guys in the unit that I spent a fair amount of time behind an 8500. So I'm a real TFO. But you would see the difference of it, of having a lot of time especially before the street overlays and the moving maps and the shot overs of the world, or the Churchills of the world. A lot of time out the window and being really engaged with what's happening out the window. And now as we move to the better cameras and the better mapping systems, it really, really pulls you inside of the aircraft a lot. And so one thing I think we found especially is working more with the better technology. I think we found ourselves working as a team concept a little more in the aircraft. At least that's what I found is you've got a TFO that's in the camera and he's doing a thing. And I like to use pursuits as the example. So, back in the day, with the 8500 as a long ranger and a map system that's not really that great, I'm throwing the pursuit out the left window and, I'm peeking past the TFO to fly it and see what's going on. Whereas now I'll drop that out my right window, because now that he's in that camera more, he's got a great view, but he's got a great view that's in that box. So I'm letting him know that, hey, you got big T intersections coming up. We're going to start slowing up because we're going to have to set for an east or west turn based off this, or, I'm going to slide so we don't get into the trees on the camera. I think crew coordination comes into play. It's a little bit more than just finding your point and flying an orbit around it.
Yeah.
Which you would think would be more like that with the better technology. And in some instances, I think yes, but a lot of it not.
It's interesting. I feel like early on, the pilots would use the TFO's head as an instrument as far as figuring out where to place the aircraft in relation to the vehicle in pursuit. If your TFO is looking hard left, that vehicle's behind you. But
more
now,
left pedal dummy.
Yeah. Now with the camera systems being the primary driver in that, it's changing how you're offset, which is interesting. So
yeah,
we had TFOs that had stickers on their helmet that said "left pedal, please." If you could read that sticker, you better put some left pedal in.
I want to get into drone integration because you talked about your fleet, but before we do that, Nick, let's stick with you and talk about some of the TFO centric stuff. You talk about your TFO selection process and what your guys' road to air support looks like.
As full transparency, that's how I started in the unit as a TFO. I was telling Jack before we started, prior to the interview to be a TFO, I'd been in a helicopter exactly one time. But before we even get to the point of selecting TFOs, the thing we look for most, and our biggest thing that we want, is a good street cop. That is the most important thing for a TFO for us, is somebody that's good street cop. And I hope Pat would echo the same. But it's because anything aviation related, we could teach you. What we can't teach you are some of the fundamentals of thinking like a cop, being willing to go, not being afraid to get on the radio, be engaged with the officers down on the ground, and transition from a passive observer to an actual participant, whatever that incident is. Which I think is hard for some people whenever you have that distance built in. It's hard for them to become actual participants in what's happening in the ground when they're up in the air. So we're looking for people that aren't afraid to do that aren't afraid to get engaged. And then the right type of people, like Pat was saying, we work all the hours. So the guy that wants to work 9 to 5 and not answer his phone and it's not a bad life, but it's also not who we're looking for. So we need people who are willing to fully kind of embrace everything that it involves. So the selection process, and that's been kind of a ongoing, not battle for us, but kind of a developing process at the point. Right now, it's we do a day of selection with them, with candidates. So we're looking for somebody that's good street cop. We'll have them come in. We don't test them on anything that occurs in the aircraft, because this may be a total new environment for them. They've never been trained on the aircraft, but the police radios that are in the aircraft are the same ones that are in our patrol cars. They should know how to use those. They should know how to program them. They should have a basic understanding of what it is that we do. And then we go up and fly with them. We do some recognition things as far as like visual spatial things, see if they get sick, which, that may not present itself immediately, but we at least have a window in that first day whenever we're flying to see if it happens. Yeah. And so we do a couple things that we would normally do as a TFO, follow vehicles. Not that we expect them to be able to run the cameras or be familiar with the mapping system, because that's all new to them, but being able to effectively communicate on the radio, being able to paint a picture of what's happening on the ground with their words. That's something that's should be universal to every police officer. Yeah. And that's what we're looking for. What am I missing? What am I missing, Pat?
Let's see. We have a test where we show them a map and have them find the aerial photograph that coincides with that map. That's a written or a test that we do. And we also do audio recording. We play one of our pursuits, turn the audio down on it, put it up on the big screen, and then let them narrate it as they'll know they're the TFO. We just record what they think is important, what they call out, what they don't call out, how they sound, like how they might sound on a radio in the future. And we compare all those recordings against each other.
That's a cool idea.
Yeah.
I like
that one. That one's actually, I had fun with that one. So we'll take them in. We're playing the pursuit in the aircraft on the mapping system that's in the aircraft, and we're closing the aircraft up, and they're putting it out over the radio in the aircraft, and then it's being proctored by somebody else inside the office.
Yeah, I think with the spread of video use and recording, stuff like that has become, much more available, and I like that you guys have taken advantage of that and used that as part of your testing process. And then is that later a part of your training process as well?
Oh, absolutely.
We critique everything.
Yeah. And honestly, I think, we're not immune to it. It's, I got the chance to TFO for a month ago, and it'd been the first time I TFO'd in a long time, and got a pursuit and went back to the office and picked apart my own pursuit.
Yeah.
And it's
How'd you do?
Okay.
It's amazing how it goes away, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's incredible. It is a perishable skill. Even though, think of all the hours you're sitting in that same cockpit in a different job, and you would think, oh, I could hop in that seat. I could do that. No, if you're not doing it a lot, it's perishable. I can relate to that. But
it wasn't bad, but it also wasn't by far my best.
It wasn't
work.
at your standard. It wasn't at the Nick standard from prior years. Understood.
Yeah. So, and that's like Pat was saying, part of the later TFO school that we do. We'll go out and we'll run scenarios with them, and they record their scenarios as if they're real events, and then we get to come back to the office and put it on the big screen and with everybody. And here we go.
Yeah,
that is really cool.
Yeah, I think any good TFO is going to come back to the hangar and look at the footage from an incident they worked and figure out how to get better. I love that you're doing that and using that as a training tool. When I started, you learned on the job. You basically had to be in flight for the training that took place outside of just working the radios. But now with camera systems and the technology that brings, you can learn after every flight from what doesn't have to be footage that you took from someone else's footage. Listening to how they're describing things, that's key.
Oh, absolutely, and that's so our TFO school. It's a 3-week school, and it starts with the first week a fair amount of academics. We lay some of the foundational work, and then really the end of the first week and then the remainder of the 2 weeks are a lot of we'll come in, we'll do maybe a little bit of academics in the beginning, and then it's out in the aircraft all night or all day, and then night we start day and then go to our final week will be on nights.
I know some agencies are having some difficulty retaining candidates. They might come in, they get selected, or at least a temporary selection. In LAPD's case, getting the loan program. Are you guys finding that the people you select are able to succeed and become TFOs? Or are you seeing a washout issue that a lot of agencies are seeing?
I don't think we really have seen a washout issue, as it were. It's we're committed to the people that we select, to working with them and making sure that they can meet a standard, obviously. But then it's a continuing process, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's obviously, and I'm sure other places are like this, some contractual issues with as far as selection and retention, and for that, and those become considerations as well.
As far as your training program, what do you find has been the most effective way of training, whether it's using videos or what do you find that's been really helpful for your guys' training program? Thank you to our sponsor, Spectrum AeroMed. Spectrum AeroMed is your trusted partner in aeromedical solutions. Experience safety and innovation with their customized interiors, designed for both rotor and fixed-wing aircraft. Elevate your patient care with Spectrum AeroMed. For more information, visit spectrum-aeromed.com.
So as far as our training program goes, I'll step back and give a shout out to one of our guys that aren't on this podcast, Sergeant Martin. He's really, Cole Martin is his name. He has pushed our training program in a great direction and has done a great job with being kind of the primary architect of it. But I think the biggest place that we see benefit is the actual live flight exercises, where it's kind of a heavy lift because we're pulling aircraft off patrol when we have to, or double staffing, live flight and patrol. We're pulling some of our partners from other units in the department, some of our SWAT team, we call them ES, but some of our ES partners and bomb and dog guys, using them as essentially role players or actors on the ground and to help us run through these scenarios. So it's kind of a big lift on our part, but that seems to be the most beneficial thing.
Is that something you guys are doing for new candidates only, or is this something you're kind of doing ongoing?
Pretty much new candidates.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. And it's part of, I'm sorry, go ahead.
What do those scenarios look like?
Pat, I'm trying to think of what we've had.
We've done vehicle tracking. We can't do the pursuits out on the streets, but we do vehicle tracking that leads into a foot bail. We've done open area searches for missing people. We've done surveillances, so we'll set up a hand-to-hand or something like that, or a meet-up-by type situation. But we repeat a lot of them, but we change up the environment that they occur in. So like the same scenario might be used again at night, or might be used in a different location down different roads. So they'll have to adjust to that. They'll get freeways in first, and as it gets more complex, we'll put them into the tighter urban areas, and as their skills increase for that. Additionally, you have the TFO that's in training sitting next to the pilot in the front seat, but you also have another TFO in the back that's observing it all on an additional monitor in the back. So by the time the night occurred, they've been in this hot seat, they've watched somebody in the hot seat on the same scenario probably, and then switched to another scenario, and they've had both positions as well. And then we bring it back, because this is happening in one aircraft, the exact same thing is happening in another aircraft, and we get to view everybody's videos and debrief them all together. So
that's great.
So there's a lot of experience being gathered in just a short period of time.
Yeah, that's cool.
Outstanding.
That technology, or that TFO's position, is the backbone of all of our programs. So I love that you guys are investing the time and resources into the training, because that's the key.
It put us on a rocket ship. But we didn't have a TFO until 2014. And once we started hiring TFOs, started training TFOs, I mean, the stuff that our guys are able to do now, it just blows me away. They'll say, that was a Glock model, whatever, extended magazine. He tossed out of the car at this location. I'm like, how does he know that? I go back and look at the video in slow-mo. I'm like, oh, he was right.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah.
And they'll go back and they'll find it. They're really, they're making all of us look good. So
yeah, combination of the technology available and the skill sets they develop. I'm a big advocate for unlimited terms for these TFOs. I think some of the programs where you go in and you could be there for 3 years or 4 years is difficult, because I think it takes 2 years by itself to become proficient as a TFO. And then now you're good and you've got only 2 years left. I think it's a detriment to a lot of units. Whereas if you're there, as long as you're performing, I think that's great, because you only improve as you're there.
That experience is fantastic.
I know we're getting long, so I'll try and start winding up, but I do want to hear about your drone program, how you guys are integrating that into your aviation program and the overall operations within the state police. What does your drone program look like, and how is that integrated with aviation?
Yeah, so our lead drone sergeant right now, Sergeant Mike Darrow, is assigned to at Aviation. We have 2 additional full-time drone operators, and we have more than a dozen part-time drone operators. A lot of those are the tactical guys doing the ES team support. But anybody does anything with unmanned aircraft in the state where the MSP is managed through here. The big advantage of that is really the ability to work together, having the expertise kind of go both ways. There is definitely some calls where we get asked for a UAS, and the right tool is not a UAS. And in that particular case, it might be a manned aircraft. And then there's calls for manned aircraft where we're able to say, no, I think the UAS is the right tool for this job. And there's calls where we work together. There's been a lot of natural disasters where we'll send up maybe a fixed wing to take large area photography where we're doing really close up stuff with the UAS, and we've got the helicopter running live video downlink or rescue missions in the middle of it. So really, we're able to coordinate the right tool for the job and work together. Any UAS mission that goes out with a UAS pilot and a UAS observer. And so many of the manned aircraft guys that aren't really operating the UASs, they pick up that role and jump in as a UAS observer. So a lot of integration back and forth on that.
Are you, for the U.S. observers, are they being trained in a similar fashion as your TFOs as far as integration of, forward-looking infrared and that type of technology?
Well, the camera is viewed primarily by the UAS pilot because he's got the tablet or whatever it is. So but we do send all those guys to, the Law Enforcement Thermographers Association course. Yep, the LETA course. We send them to the LETA course. We do training in-house with them. All of my UAS operators have been through the TFO course as well. So, so there's a lot of integration back and forth because really, in a lot of aspects, the UAS operator, the pilot, is flying the device, which is pretty much automated, but he's more acting as the TFO, observing what he's seeing and making any call-outs based on that. So,
yeah, I love that you guys are doing that to supplement the program. Like you said, there's some missions where both platforms are great to have. I think a lot of agencies are still trying to figure out what that integration looks like, and you guys have had a lot of time to kind of work through that. You guys are one of the first programs in the country to have the COA on file, not only in Class G airspace, but Class D, Class C, and Class B airspace. Can you talk about some of the challenges that you had getting approval to operate in the Class B? That seems that's kind of mind blowing to me. That's pretty neat.
It's evolved a lot since in the last 10 years that we started. It was pre 107. 107 wasn't a thing yet, and so the only way we were going to get to operate in the state was under a COA. And so the COA, we went for statewide, but we excluded certain airspaces that would allow us to get the rest of the state. And then and that was Sergeant Matt Rogers took that project on as a hero in my book because he put in a lot of work, and I'm sure Nick can attest to the kind of effort that Matt put in there to get that established and then build it out. So when it didn't include the Deltas at first, he built it out to include the Deltas, did the safety assessments and all the things that the FAA required to comply with that COA, and then eventually included the Class Bravo airspace as well. It was a long process, and now and later 107 comes along, and certain environments 107 operations gives us an advantage, and so we might operate under 107 in one aspect, and then another mission later that same day, the COA is more advantageous to us. We might operate under the COA. So we shift gears as needed on that. So
where would you say you're seeing the most success in UAS operations as far as, mission effectiveness goes?
Overall, the vast majority of our missions are orthomosaic 2D mapping scenes. So it's the crash scenes, it's the fire scenes, the house explosions. I was surprised how many places blow up, but that happens more often than you think. So, but lo and behold, so we do. That's the vast majority of our missions. Lately, with the ability to fly indoors, improving the stability, improving the not needing all the GPS, improving the to make that platform stable. We really have increased the number of internal missions or indoor missions that we've done. Really. Just in the last, I would say, even the last 6 to 8 months, have increased that mission significantly with good successes. It's not a perfect tool. It's just there are definitely some missions where we could show you. It'd be fun to watch.
I remember reading one of the awards that you won, which you've won multiple, by the way, which is really neat. It was the International Police Chiefs Award, I believe, that talked about how your drone program is utilizing satellite technology as far as downlink communications go. Can you talk about how you guys are utilizing that?
It's important to me to provide the best possible product to the customer. The customer, in many cases, is a law enforcement officer who is servicing the citizen, but it could be the citizens as well. But in this case, it would be providing the imagery to the leadership, at all levels, at the tactical level, at the senior level, and any place in between dispatch centers or whoever may need that. Well, we have live video downlink on the aircraft. We have incorporated the live video downlink from the UAS, and so there's one-stop shopping. They go to one web page. There'll be customers will see multiple icons. And if UAS number 3 is at the scene, he's got a live image, they can click on it and view that. If Trooper 2 is at the scene, has a live image, they can click on that and see Trooper 2. So they've got one place to go to. And CNC is the company that's provided us that link to bring everything together.
Yeah, CNC's done a great job of being kind of the go-to in the industry for that information. So that information, actionable intelligence is what every person on the ground needs to help make decisions. And before, the air crews could see what you could see, and it's great, but only we could see it, and it relied upon your ability to communicate what you're seeing and paint the picture. Now the folks on the ground can really see, with all the live downlink information, what you're looking at. And there's no replacement for that. So I think as that technology improves, I only think the actionable intelligence side of things is going to get better. Are you guys utilizing the microwave downlink systems for that, or are you doing something different?
For the manned aircraft, it's microwave downlink to 4 towers across the state, which doesn't give us statewide coverage, but it gives us most of our metropolitan areas covered. And that's being viewed real time in dispatch while every patrol flight we're out, that device is on. On the UAS side, if it's a mapping mission, it's not being downlinked. That we just go out and we collect the images for the mapping missions. But if it's a ES support call or something along those lines, that'll be downlinked, and that's using a cellular link. But ultimately, the output comes to the same location on a secure website with a password for the viewers to see.
Are you able to receive information as well as send it, or is it just the directional information going down?
So Omni is just for the microwave from the manned aircraft. It's one direction, and really is for the downlink aspect of the unmanned as well. Although that they're hitting a cellular transmission, or they're able to transmit that over cellular. So if they could receive cellular, but essentially the downlink is one direction.
I think that's one of the areas I'm most excited to see the technology improve is in the bidirectional passage of information. Jack and I were talking about Starlink and some of the capabilities that exist there with satellite transmission, of data. And I think back to my program, and we could send information down, but we couldn't receive information. And where it comes into play for us was, as easy as it was, just regular MDC, calls holding the regular, information from dispatch. We didn't have access to, which was a problem. You get a dispatch to a call and you get a suspect description. I'm asking dispatch 2 or 3 times, sometimes to repeat something, taking up airtime. Whereas, you can receive information effectively in both directions. You can see that in flight. And I know some agencies do have different ways of getting that information to their system, but just doesn't seem like there's a really great way of handling that as we stand now. Do your ships have the ability to view calls holding and that type of information as your flight progresses?
We're stuck in the 1980s on that one. So no, we're in the dark.
Yeah.
There's no CAD, there's no cellular connectivity to the aircraft. It's something we're keenly aware of. We're very interested in fixing, but there's some rules that are in place that make it tough, and I don't know if we have the answer on that yet.
I feel like a lot of agencies are searching for a solution for that problem. So again, excited to see the development of that as time goes. Jack, any thoughts on the UAS operations or kind of any of the topics we've touched on?
I was really happy to hear that the UAS people went through your TFO course. I think that's brilliant. And I was just talking to some UAS people here in Central Oregon the other day, a small group, and one of the things I said to them, yes, you're all piloting drones, but every one of you is a TFO. Every one of you is. You have to know how to talk, how to search, how to do all these TFO jobs while you're piloting that drone. So that and most of them realize that, I think, but some are like surprised And I'm like, no, you really are. You have to be able to do the job of the TFO, even though you're standing on the ground, because you're looking at a screen from a perspective the same as a tactical flight officer in a helicopter or a fixed wing. Doesn't matter. You could be up there in a hot air balloon, and if you're elevated, you got to know how to talk and how to search in different ways. So that's really, really good that you thought to put your UAS people through a tactical flight officer program and teach them in that aspect, because that's what they're doing. They're not in the 407, and they're staying on the ground, but they're still doing it. So great job in thinking to do that. That's not everybody does that. I think most agencies just go, oh, well, you're certified to fly that drone. Go get them. And it's like, well, do you know how to talk? You know how to search? You know how FLIR works? These are TFO things. Many agencies are playing catch up in that area. You guys are not. That's great.
Yeah.
I don't know that we went at it with that in mind, but it's how it ended up. They all went through, we did it because they operate as much as the manned aircraft guys go out with the unmanned aircraft to do the observer role. That switches. They all fly TFO missions for us in the manned aircraft, so they get experience both ways as well. So
perfect.
So it's just a good marriage for sure.
Yeah. Again, I feel like a lot of agencies are still searching for a solution on how to administer the UAS program in conjunction with the manned aviation program. A lot of agencies still they're completely separate, and I feel like you guys have done it right. You put them under one roof. When it comes to things like training, that stuff is beneficial for both UAS pilots and TFOs and even pilots, so I love that you guys have done that. I'm hoping as things get sorted out, more agencies have come up with an effective way to bring the two programs together, because I do think they're mutually beneficial. I like both programs for different reasons, but neat that you guys have kind of worked through a lot of that already.
They only complement each other. There's, if somebody thinks somebody's going to lose a mission because we have manned versus unmanned, that knife cuts both ways. They only complement. We only get more missions because we have the unmanned, and the unmanned only get more missions because people are calling for the aircraft, but it's not the right tool. They're very mutually beneficial.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Well, for folks that may find themselves in a position where they're looking for some solutions, is there a way that they can reach out to you and get some help from that?
Yeah, we're an open door, and Nick's handled as many phone calls as I have from outside agencies to talk to them about our program, to share what we've learned, and to provide documents and training, what materials. If you're for another law enforcement agency, or you're just a brother of ours. So
awesome. Well, guys, thank you for sticking with us for so long. I definitely held you guys over the limit, but there's so much to talk about, and there's a lot we didn't even touch on. So again, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for what you're doing for the industry. Pat, looking at your background, we talked about leadership. You've invested a lot of time and effort and energy into becoming an effective leader, and that's evident in the program that you've built and created. Well done. Nick, thank you for your time and all the efforts you've put into the TFO program and benefiting your agency. Look forward to seeing you guys at one of the upcoming conferences, whether it's HAI or APSCON. You guys going to APSCON this summer?
APSCON will have people there. I'm not sure who's actually going. So we'll definitely have people there, though.
Okay. Well, look forward to seeing you guys at one of the next events. Do you guys have any last thoughts before we close out?
No, I think I'm good. I appreciate you guys calling, having us on.
It's been a great opportunity, great conversation. We could talk all week, year, month, whatever. We could talk a long time about this. It's truly our passion, and we appreciate it.
Well, your passion is evident, and I loved so much of what I heard today. This was a really enjoyable conversation, and it just makes me think that John and I are going to have to do a Michigan loop at some point now.
Yeah.
And we'll bump into some new friends and some old friends set with around Michigan. So thanks for coming on, guys. We really appreciate it. That was great.
Come in the summer.
That's fun.
Did you really think you had to say that, Nick?
It's funny you say that, because I was just thinking, hoping they don't plan on us coming in the winter, and that's one thing we didn't get a chance to talk about. Let me just for one quick second talk about some of the winter flying conditions and situations that is different again, coming from California, we don't deal with the weather concerns that you guys do. Can you just kind of briefly talk about some of the considerations you guys have? Very unique environment up there.
Yeah, so Nick was out on a mission just today that turned around because of inclement weather. The Great Lakes provide a great opportunity to see snow, low clouds and rain, mist, and all kinds of other weather events. So we definitely have icing concerns when it's in the fixed wing side of the house. When we get in or above the clouds, we do see a lot of cold conditions as well. So it's a great place to fly if you want to see all the possible things that weather has to provide to you.
Yeah. Nick, anything to throw in there?
No, a lot of the same. It's just, this is a time of year whenever I think you have to be extra diligent in your weather planning and checking. And I mean, we all admit that sometimes during the summer we can get a little bit lax. You can look out the window and say, yeah. Look at the radar real quick. No storms. We're good to go. But I think we can all say that a time or two we've been we have been lax with that in the wintertime. It's just, you have to be a little bit more committed, a little bit more diligent to not only what's happening now, but what's going to be happening 7 or 8 hours from now.
Yeah.
Or where you're headed, where, being a state agency, we may be going hundreds of miles away from where our base is.
I know the cold snap just came through there a few weeks ago. What was the coldest temperature you saw in that cold snap?
I don't think it was cold, but it wasn't terribly cold.
Well, I had a minus 18.
Yeah.
Minus 18.
I had a minus 18 on the meter the other day.
What's terribly cold for your neck of the woods?
Minus 18.
Yeah.
Okay.
When the floor pan starts frosting up, that's when it gets cold.
All right. Well, thanks for throwing that in there real quick. I appreciate it. And on that, we'll catch you guys later.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right. See ya.
Yep. Bye.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Hangar Z Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe to hear more stories that promote the personnel and equipment behind the missions in public safety aviation. Lastly, stand by for a message after a word from our sponsors. Cheers. Thank you to our sponsor, Spectrum AeroMed. Spectrum AeroMed is your trusted partner in aeromedical solutions. Experience safety and innovation with their customized interiors, designed for both rotor and fixed-wing aircraft. Elevate your patient care with Spectrum AeroMed. For more information, visit spectrum-aeromed.com.
You protect and defend. So do we. Astronautics' proven cybersecurity, connectivity, and upgrade solutions support helicopter OEMs and operators worldwide. When the mission matters, you need to trust that your avionics systems are secure, connected, and reliable because lives depend on it. Continue to protect and defend. So will we. Contact Astronautics at www.astronautics.com. Thank you to our sponsor, Robinson Helicopter Company, the choice for unrivaled safety and reliability, so you can accomplish any mission with confidence. For more than half a century, Robinson has been at the forefront of the helicopter industry. From the R-22 to the R-66 turbine, Robinson makes helicopters accessible so more people can accomplish more missions. Climb higher. For additional information, visit www.robinsonheli.com.
Hey, thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Hangar Z Podcast. We hope you enjoyed our conversation with Lieutenant Lawrence and Sergeant Olivo and gained valuable insights from our discussion. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on your favorite platform. Follow us on social media to stay updated on the latest episodes and community news. You can now watch our podcast on YouTube under the channel vertical_helicast. Head over to YouTube, search for vertical_helicast, and enjoy our episodes with additional visuals and exclusive content. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'll never miss an update. Thank you for your continued support, and we look forward to seeing you on YouTube. Cheers.
Time to close up the hangar. Thanks for joining us on the Hangar Z Podcast, brought to you by Vertical Helicasts.